let's get started. Good morning. Gloomy morning in New York City, like very gloomy this morning. But I love gloomy mornings because they're calm and peaceful and they feel all like snuggly even when you're working. So good morning. Happy Thursday. This is Morning Lives with Melissa Agnes, a daily space to help leaders just like you stay grounded and connected to your inner strength, your inner resilience, your coherence, your vision, your mission, your purpose. So as you step into the important work that you do, if you're looking for strengthening your skills in experiencing to the most extent possible and continuously like growing into unwavering steadiness, especially when there's so many mountains for you to move, and those mountains are so big and there's so much uncertainty that comes with them. Increased clarity, because inside that uncertainty is a lot of doubt and answers to questions that you are seeking. And deeper connection to yourself, so important, deeper connection to source, God, creator, co-creator, universe, quantum, whatever you want to call it, infinite wisdom, that thing that is bigger than us that helps to guide us, which is a little bit of what I'm going to talk about today. And of course, connection with those you are leading so that they will follow your leadership and they will support you in moving those mountains, and you get them on board and you increase trust and credibility and resonance with them. So if you're looking for those things, if those things sound like, yeah, I could use a little bit more of that, I could always use a little bit more of that, then these morning lives is exactly for you, are exactly for you. Every morning, weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, unless I'm traveling, I show up here to share 10 minutes of one perspective, one thoughtful thing that helps to hopefully empower, inspire, ground you. And then we do a 10-minute coherence drop-in where we get into alignment, we get into clarity, we get out of brain, out of worry, doubt, anxiety, fear, etc., so that you can step into the rest of your day in your power. There is a lag, so if you put a comment or a question in the chat, it'll take a few seconds for you to hear my response, but please don't let that stop you. And my ask is, if you gain value from these morning lives, please share them. Let's help spread the word. Let's help more leaders start their days in alignment and with clarity to what matters most. All right. Hi, David. I'm looking forward to chatting with you later today. Okay, so today what I want to talk about, what I want to share with you is, there's a typo on LinkedIn in the title, which on LinkedIn I put how to take aligned action towards your big goals. This is a big thing, right? Because as mission-driven, purpose-driven leaders, you have a big vision, you have a big mission that's been placed on your heart that you've been called to do. That is your soul's calling, that is your purpose here on earth. Like those of us who are in that position, who have these big visions, big missions, like we know that. And that in and of itself can be extremely daunting. And oftentimes we're creating change. So the answers of like, how do we actually do this and be successful at this can be extremely hard. And so today I want to share something that's maybe a little unconventional, and maybe it's not, depending on kind of your belief system or the schools of thought that you've been surrounded by, but I'm still going to say it. So bear with me. My question to you is, what if the how of how you're going to achieve your big mission, your big vision, is not actually your responsibility? Out of all of the responsibilities on your shoulders as a leader, what if the how is not actually your responsibility? How does that make you feel? Are you like, are some of you probably listening to that are like, what is she talking about? That's ridiculous. Others might be like, yeah, I've heard that before. All right, I get that. And we can go so many different routes of this. We can go quantum physics, we can go religion, we can go school of thoughts and like belief systems. But the things that I want to share with you here today are, if the how is not your responsibility, and let me say what the how is. The how is, how are you going to make it happen, right? Like if something is so big and so different from what currently is, so outside of status quo, outside of the norm, outside of the current culture of society, etc., or your organization, then how are you supposed to bring about that change? To think that that how is all on your shoulders is wild, especially when, if you want to go to the school of thought of, or the belief system of, the vision, the mission that's been put on your heart was put on your heart for a reason, and you didn't necessarily ask for it, right? So then the how, figuring out the how all by yourself, is daunting and overwhelming, and I know that. I've been there. It's paralyzing sometimes. So what if we let go of that? What if we decided that the how is not your responsibility? So then what is your responsibility? Your responsibility, first and foremost, is to accept the calling, right? Accept the mission that, okay, yeah, this is what I'm going to work towards. This is going to be what I'm here to do, for now at least, on this planet. Believing that that mission, that vision is possible. That is your first thing, accepting it and believing that it's possible. One of the things that I say often, and actually my Visionary Leadership Mastermind and our advanced leadership certification were all founded on a saying that I say to people when they tell me that what I dream is crazy, is delusional. I'm told that all the time. Is just because things are doesn't mean they're meant to be, and I have the power to make meaningful change. That is facts. And I really want to stress that if you've been given a vision and a mission, it's because it is possible. Even if you don't understand how you're going to get there, or you can't really see in today's world how that could be true. So your first job is to believe that it is, with everything in you, with all of your conviction, to believe that it is, because it is. And we've talked about possibility leadership versus probability leadership, right? Every possibility exists in superposition all the time. It just depends on where we put our mind, our thoughts, our energy, our concentration, our direction. And believing it is that first place to begin. Then I'm going to add, the second thing is keeping yourself resourced. A big part, or a big way to keep yourself resourced, is to remember that the how is not your responsibility, because the how can be draining. I am speaking from experience. The how can be so draining. It's so monumental. Moving mountains is impossible if we try to figure out how we're going to move them with our own hands, right? So keeping yourself resourced means following the highest vibration. For today, that's what I'm going to say. Following the highest vibration. What is the thing, the idea that brings you the most excitement? What is the thing that brings you the most joy? When you're self-resourcing, right? When you're taking your downtime, what are the things that bring you joy? Joy, love, excitement, gratitude. Those things are replenishing. So that's kind of what I mean when I say keeping yourself resourced, as well as obviously taking care of your physical body. So it's taking care of your mind, your body, your spirit, your heart, all of these things. Surrounding yourself with the people who lift you up, who celebrate with you, who are there when you need support. We talked about that earlier this week. And surrounding yourself, just remembering to nourish yourself with food, with exercise, all the things, right? So your second responsibility is keeping yourself resourced, because if your oxygen mask isn't on, you can't change the world. Third thing is getting still and out of your mind so that you can be guided. That is what we do every morning here when we get still and get into our body and we breathe. Your brain, as intelligent as it is, as wise as it is, as experienced as you are, when you are moving mountains, when you are creating meaningful change and meaningful impact that is different from the status quo of today, we cannot with our brain always fathom how we're going to do that or what the next step is. And so your responsibility as a visionary leader is to remember that you have more than just your brain to utilize, to tap into. You have 3 intelligence centers. You have your brain, you have your heart, you have your gut. In order to access these 2, you need to get still. You need to get quiet. You need to get out of your brain and into your body. And that's what we do in the second half of this episode, or this show, for particularly that reason. Okay? So getting still, getting out of your mind so that you can actually receive the guidance of the how. And then lastly is taking aligned action. I do not say, when I say the how is not your responsibility, I'm not saying sit on the couch and hope and pray. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying believe, right? And self-resource and get still. And then when you hear something, take action on it. Or when you feel something, take action on it. When you have an idea that drops in, that brings you the highest vibration, gets you excited, take action on it. And then let the serendipitous moments, the magic, the miracles unfold. Because the path that you've been given is not the easy path. Visionary leaders, we are not here to do the easy thing. And sometimes that really sucks, which is why you need your community, right? Which is why you need your self-resourcing, so that you are replenished. But the how is actually, like, if it's been given to you, if this has been placed on your heart or your soul's mission, one, that means it is possible, period. Two, that means you're not alone in creating it, achieving it, right? And you can take that statement in any way you want to. And three, it means there are solutions, and we just have to get still, get out of our limited brain. Our brain is limited in finding, our brain is meant to process information, and the information that it processes, a big part of that comes in from the body. I've talked about this. I talk about this almost every day, but there are episodes, if you're new, there are episodes that go into the science of that. So taking aligned action is your responsibility, and it doesn't have to be the hustle and the grind and the push that we have been kind of ingrained and trained, programmed to believe that we have to do. We don't have to exert ourselves or exhaust ourselves or lose ourselves to achieve the big vision, the big mission that we're here to achieve. And the best way, in my experience, of remembering that is first to remember that the how is not my responsibility. What my responsibility is to remember that it is possible, what I'm here to do. It is possible to have conviction, to be the steward of that, to keep myself resourced, which is a big task in and of itself, a whole full-time job sometimes in and of itself, and it is my responsibility, it is your responsibility, to get out of your brain and into your body so that you can receive the guidance for the next steps, for the actions, and then taking aligned action from there. And some days, like on Monday for me, I didn't know kind of what my next step should be towards creating everything that I'm here to create. And so I tapped in, right? I did the breath work with you guys, and I tapped in, and I just kind of went, okay, what feels good to me today? And I did about 3 or 4 hours of work. And then all of a sudden, I've had this feeling of like, okay, you're complete today. These were the seeds that you needed to plant today. So then I was like, okay, how do I self-resource for the rest of the day? What can I do? I'm planning a wedding right now. I got into that. I'm also starting another company. I got into that too, right? The things that bring me joy, to self-resource. And I want to give you this example. The example that I want to share with you is when you are searching for a significant other, right? You're out there, you're like, okay, I'm ready to find my spouse and to have that partnership that I've always dreamt of. I've worked on me, I'm ready. What can you do? You can take aligned action by like getting on the apps, right? Or going to a singles mingle, or asking your friends to hook you up, or whatever it is. That's aligned action. You are taking action. You're kind of planting the seeds. But you don't know how you're going to meet your person. You might have all these dates planned up and be on the apps and having these conversations and thinking, your brain is like, well, this is the logical way that this is going to unfold. And then you take your dog for a walk and you run into like a stranger. You like walk into someone and you fumble and you guys laugh together. And then all of a sudden, that's the person you marry. You couldn't have predicted that. I just got chills. You couldn't have predicted that. The how is not your responsibility. The how is actually where the magic happens, but you have to allow for the magic to have room to happen. So you have to believe, you do. You are the steward of your mission. You are, it is up to you to protect it, right? And to believe in it with everything in you. You have to keep yourself resourced. You have to get out of your mind and into your body, and then you take aligned action with whatever comes through. That is it. And then serendipitously, synchronicities will happen, and that's the magic. So that's what I want to share with you today. And this is what I'm going to, before we get into our drop-in, this is what I'm also going to share. This was said to me probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, and it really, really hit. It really landed. I still remember it to this day. I'm going to paraphrase it here for my words from what I remember, but hopefully it might do something for you. So, what if you were given the vision, the mission that's on your heart? What if you were given that vision because someone else is hoping, asking, and praying for it? What if that means that you are the answer to other people's prayers? What that did for me was I am always in service, right? That's what I'm here to do. I am in service. And so the idea of somebody asking and hoping and praying for the thing that I can do, for me personally, that's like, I don't want to let them down. And that's not a huge responsibility on my shoulders. That's a fire in my belly. That's like I've got this. Yes, it's not for nothing. It's not for no one. So what if that big mission, vision that was placed on your heart was placed there because somebody else asked, prayed for it, and that prayer went up and it landed in your heart because you were the one to bring that to life. So for whatever that's worth. Okay, with that, let's do our drop-in. And today, intention for the drop-in, doing number 3. Well, doing number 2 and number 3, because doing these drop-ins, self-resources. And definitely self-resources. And it helps you get out of your mind so that you can feel into, receive guidance, or just kind of hear, know, whatever you want to call it, however it happens for you, your next aligned action. So let's do it. If you are new, welcome. Welcome, welcome. These drop-ins are very simple. They just require getting still. We do them for 10 minutes. That's it. They're a gift that you gift to yourself. They just help you kind of recalibrate, get into alignment, get into that clarity, find that clarity, feel peaceful, feel safe, so that you can step into the rest of your day in the energy that you want and with the energy that you want to step into it with. So they're meant to empower. All you have to do is get still, follow my voice, and listen to your body first and foremost. You are your highest authority. Your body has all the answers. Your body knows how to guide you. So this is a practice in deepening the relationship with your body and listening to it, hearing it, and letting it guide you. All right, so getting still. Shutting down your eyes or softening your gaze. If you're driving, please don't do this. Come back to the recording. It'll be available to you on LinkedIn, YouTube, and everywhere that podcasts are streamed. If you are in public, but you can get still, but it feels silly because there's people around. Invitation to feel silly and do it anyway. I promise it'll be worth it. All right, we're just going to do simple halo active breathing. So it's in through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Settling into your seat, keeping that breath flowing. And on your next exhale, whenever that might be, invitation to really follow that breath as it flows out through your mouth, following the breath down your body, all the way down to the sensation of the seat against your skin. Really feeling into the seat and what it feels like against your skin. Getting comfortable, releasing any tension, letting yourself really sink into this seat that will not drop you and will not mind if you decide in this moment to really just sink into it. And feeling the sensations again of the seat against your body. What do you notice? This is such a great practice in choosing where you put your awareness. which is a visionary leadership skill that most people aren't taught. And when you feel settled in that seat, keeping that breath flowing in through the nose, out through the mouth. On your next inhale, in through the nose, following that breath, feeling it come up from your sit bones, up your belly, and landing in your heart space. If it feels good and supportive or helpful, just bringing a hand to your heart and putting another hand on your belly. And what you're doing here is you're signaling to your brain that this is where you want to put your awareness. This is where you want to put your attention. And as you continue to breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth, you're imagining that is actually your heart that is pulling in the breath. And with every exhale through the mouth, you're bringing that breath down into your belly, into your solar plexus. And that's the cycle. So it's breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. With every inhale, you're pulling in, you're opening up your chest cavity. You're bringing that life force energy, that oxygen in through your heart space, pulling it in, letting it feel so good. And then with every exhale out through your mouth, you're following that breath into the safety of your solar plexus, of your belly. And letting that feel calming, relaxing, nourishing, safe, comforting. And just taking this breath on your own and just noticing what you notice. How much calmer are you able to feel? If your brain is chattery, that's great. It means that you're alive. So we can be grateful for that. We can be amused by that. And then we just simply bring our mind, our focus back to the breath. That's why we bring our hand to the heart and to the belly. Is when your brain starts going, you can go, no, you know what? I'm going to bring my awareness here and I'm going to focus on what it feels like to breathe in through my nose, opening up my chest cavity, expanding your heart center, out through the mouth, into the belly, letting it feel calm, letting it feel grounding, letting it feel safe. And this is the practice. This is the skill. This helps you get out of your heart, out of your brain, out of that mental clutter, and into access of your deeper, wiser intelligence centers, your heart and your gut. And there's no musts or shoulds or shouldn'ts. There just is. So you get to notice what is, notice what feels good, and keep following that. How much more can you let that feel even better? Can you bring in the oxygen into your heart space by 2% more, really filling in, bringing in that air, bringing in that energy, bringing in that life force, filling your lungs up, opening your heart up, feeling so good, and then bringing that breath down into your belly where it feels calming and grounding and safe and centering. Can you let that feel 2% even better? This is a practice, it's an exploration, it's a deepening of your connection and relationship with yourself and your body, and the expanded capacity of your leadership potential as a visionary, mission-driven, purpose-driven leader. Last few moments of breath, letting it feel so good. Taking this time for you. There's nothing else. There's nowhere else you need to be right now. Just right here. What a gift. And if you don't already have a hand on your heart, let's take a last few moments of breath with gratitude. Grateful to your body for the access that you have that is always just one breath away to calm, to clarity, to coherence, to recentering, to realignment, to connection. We can be so grateful to that because that is such a gift. And when you're ready, taking your last few breaths and coming back to me, coming back to the screen, coming back to the moment. And if you feel called, I'd love to hear in the chat how that was for you. What did that feel like? What did you experience? There's so many more ways that we can take our breath. And we do that in the Visionary Leadership Mastermind. I really teach you how to utilize your breath for so many different opportunities, so many different moments. In this morning live, we have the time to do a 10-minute heart-centered breathing, which research from Heart Math Institute shows us that that's a very quick, easy access pathway into coherence, into heart-brain coherence, which is into alignment, which is into nervous system regulation. All the things that you want to have and to have access to and to tap into in order to be the best version of you as you lead the incredible mission that you're here to lead. That you're here, the vision that you're here to create or bring to life, the mountains that you are here to move. And so in kind of recapping for today, as I leave you to hopefully ponder what I've shared today. So what if the mission, the vision that was placed on your heart, the goal, the thing that you are here to do, the thing that you are inspired to do, the thing that lights you up, that big, monumental, potentially thing. What if the how of how you achieve that is not actually your responsibility? What if you weren't meant to rack your brain all by yourself or just using the logical part of your brain to move those mountains, to figure out how to move those mountains? What if instead you were able to let go of the sense of wanting to control the how, which is a thing, and instead you focused on 4 things: your belief in your mission, your belief that it is possible, that it will come to light, that it is meant to be yours, that you are the perfect person to move that particular mountain. And believe it so much that every naysayer who is a probability thinker, and you are not, you're a possibility thinker and leader, every naysayer that calls you delusional, you go, yeah, as my community likes to say it, because Delulu is the Salulu. And you have that conviction, you have that belief. That's your first objective, or that's your first responsibility. The second is to keep yourself resourced, because you can't, when you're moving mountains, you are putting on other people's oxygen masks, right? You're finding ways to give people more oxygen, for a lack of a better way of saying that. I'm not great with analogies, but that's the one that just came out of my mouth. You have to put your oxygen mask on first. If you are not resourced, you can't move a mountain with a depleted soul, body, mind, heart. So self-resourcing is a full-time job. Getting yourself to the gym, eating nutritiously, getting grounded, doing things that bring you joy, that light you up, so it's not all heavy moving mountains all the time. That is your responsibility to put that into the calendar and make sure you prioritize it. That's second. So belief, self-resourcing. I know this is counterintuitive. This is the opposite of what we've been taught, right? 3, getting out of your mind, getting still and getting into your body, because if the how isn't your responsibility to figure out up here in your logical brain, remembering that you have access to more clarity and to deeper intelligence centers within your body, your heart and your gut, that actually can give, through your vagus nerve, feed your brain more clarity so that you could do the 4th thing, which is take aligned action with ease. Because when you believe, when you're resourced, when you're tapped in, the aligned action that you now know that you need to take, and it could be the smallest step today or the biggest step you've ever taken in your life, whatever it is, it gets to happen with ease. Things I don't believe I did for a long time. I subscribed to the idea that everything is supposed to be hard. Work hard, play hard, right? Like the harder you work, the hustle, the grind, you have to sweat and bleed and cry in order to achieve the big things. I don't subscribe to that anymore. In fact, I completely resist every part of it. I don't believe that that's true. I just believe that that's what our brain, as human beings, has taught us and the world has subscribed to. But when you believe, when you focus on keeping yourself resourced, when you get still and you get clarity and you get answers to what your next action is, which is the how, and you take that aligned action, all of that can happen with ease if you choose to let it. And that's up to you. All right, that is what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you for breathing with me. Thank you for choosing you. Thank you for doing the incredibly important work that you are here to do. Thank you for believing in yourself and that vision, that mission enough to do it. If you have questions, reach out to me, Melissa Agnes, anywhere and everywhere. Crisis Ready Institute, melissaagnes.com. If you want to learn more about stepping into this access, this level of potent, resonant, connected, grounded, aligned, coherent leadership, then check out the Visionary Leadership Mastermind at melissaagnes.com. Doors are now open, and they close in a few weeks for the next cohort. And there are 20 seats. That's it. 20 20 mission-driven, purpose-driven leaders to come together for 12 months to fully, at the end of the 12 months, to have fully really stepped into the just out of this world level of leadership to drive your mission forward. If that interests you, if there's any part of your body that's like, I want to learn more about that, go to melissaagnes.com. Go to Visionary Leadership Mastermind. It's by application only. I meet with every single person who applies because this container is sacred, is potent, is incredible. And so I'm very intentional about that, about who joins. All right, and with that, I will see you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, live on LinkedIn and IG for another Morning Live with Melissa Agnes. And I wish you a most beautiful day. Bye.